CSA Guide to Installing and Configuring Windows Server 2012 R2 Exam 7410, Chapter 1. Objectives. Explain the function of a server operating system and a network. Describe the additions of Windows Server 2012 R2. Define private cloud terms and technologies. Explain the core technologies of Windows Server 2012 R2. Describe Windows Server 2012 R2 arose. Summarize the new and enhanced features of Windows Server 2012. The role of a server operating system. The functions a server performs depends on types of business using the server, size of the business, extent to which the business has committed to using technology to aid operations. A server is used to provide services that aid the operations of an organization. Server, hardware or software. A computer becomes a server when software is installed on it that provides a network service to client computers. Operating systems such as Windows 8.1 and its predecessors are designed to be on desktop computers. These operating systems can perform server functions such as file encrypting and sharing. Server operating systems designed to improvise network access performance and run background processes within desktop applications. Server operating systems versus desktop operating systems. Windows Server 2012 R2 networks services, files and printers sharing, web server routing and remote access services or RAS, domain name system DNS, dynamic host configuration protocol DHCP, file transfer protocol FTP server, active directory, distributed file system DFS, Hyper-V fax server. Server operating systems versus desktop operating systems. Windows 8.1 desktop operating systems supports only Hyper-V, file and printer sharing, web server, and FTP server, and limited to fax. Windows 8.1 is restricted to 20 log on network users. Windows Server 2012 R2 includes fault tolerance features such as redundant array of independent disks, RAID, 5 volumes, load balancing and clustering. Windows Server 2012 R2 editions. Windows Server 2012 R2 editions have been streamlined compared with Windows Server 2008. Data Center Standard Essentials Foundation. Businesses can choose the best solution for their size and services required. Data Center and Standard Editions. Data Center Editions installed an unlimited number of virtual instances of the operating system. Data Center's Hyper-V can be installed on a physical server. Install as many virtual machines as you need. Most purchase one Data Center Edition license for every 2 physical processors installed on a server. Standard Edition had all the features of Data Center Edition in the same processor licensing condition. Permits only 2 virtual machines. Data center and standard editions. Both data center and standard editions support up to 4 kilobits of RAM, up to 64 physical processors, server clusters with up to 64 nodes per cluster. Both editions have the option to be installed without the standard graphical user interface GUI. A mode called Server Core is now the default. Both editions require client access licenses (CAL) legally mandated for each user who logs onto the server. Essentials Edition. Essentials Edition aimed at small businesses with 25 or fewer users. Automatically configured as a root domain controller. Other automatically configured services, Active Directory certificate services, DNS file services, web server IIS, network policy server, and remote desktop services. Comes with a measurement interface called dashboard. No calls are required. Foundation Edition. Foundation Edition, entry-level edition, suitable for small businesses, available as an EM version only. Licensing limited to 15 users. No CALs are required. Supports a single physical processor. Supports up to 35 gigabytes of RAM. Can be configured as a standalone server or a root domain controller. Doesn't support Hyper-V. Compare features in Windows Server 2012 R2 edition. Data center. Maximum RAM for 4 kilobytes. Standard 4 gigabytes for maximum RAM. Essential 64 gigabytes. Foundation 32 gigabytes. Standard processor sockets. Data center 64. Standard 64. Essential 2. Foundation 1. Virtual licenses. Data center can be a virtualized host, unlimited virtual license instances. Standard can be a virtualized host, 2 virtual instances. Essential can be a virtualized host, 1 virtual or 1 physical instances. Foundation, not available for virtual licenses. Processor socket licensing. Data center. Each license supports 2 sockets. Standard. Each license supports 2 sockets. Essential. Maximum 2 sockets per system. Foundation. Maximum 1 socket per system. Supported role limitations. Active Directory domain services. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essential. Automatic forest robot only. Foundation. Forest root only. Active Directory certification services. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essential, automatic CA creation only. Foundation, CA creation only. File and storage services, no limitation for data center. Standard, no limitation. Essential, data duplication not available. Foundation, data duplication not available. Hyper-V, Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essential, no limitation. Foundation, not available. Load-only domain controller. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essentials, not available. Foundation, not available. Data duplication. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essentials, not available. Foundation, not available. Colors clustering. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essentials, not available. Foundation, not available. Hot add memory. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essentials, not available. Foundation, not available. Remote access. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essential, automatic, limited. Foundation, limited. Remote desktop services. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essentials, automatic, limited. Foundation, limited. Network policy and access services. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essentials, automatic, limited. Foundation, limited. Windows Server, update servers. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essentials, no limitation. Foundation, not available. Server primary load. Data center, no limitation. Standard, no limitation. Essentials, not available. Foundation, not available. Windows Server 2012 R2 in the private cloud. Cloud computing, a collection of technologies for abstracting the details of how applications, storage, network, and other computing resources are delivered to users. Virtualization, a core technology of cloud computing. Uses software to emulate multiple hardware environments so that multiple operating systems can run on the same physical server simultaneously. Windows Server 2012 R2 in the private cloud. Virtual machine, VM, the virtual environment that emulates a physical computer's hardware and BIOS. Host computer, the physical computer on which virtual machine software installed and virtual machine runs. Virtualization software, software for creating and managing virtual machines and creating the virtual environment in which guest operating systems are installed. Hypervisor, virtualization software component that creates and monitors the virtual hardware environment. Public cloud versus private cloud. Public cloud public cloud computing servers provided by a third party. Examples: Dropbox, SkyDrive, Google Apps. Private cloud. Cloud computing servers provided by an internal IT department. Typical services include virtual desktops, storage, and application. Virtual desktop infrastructure (VDI). Users connect to private cloud with a web browser or client software. Can access their desktop from any internet connection. Windows Server 2012 are two core technologies. Server Manager, New Technology File Systems, NTFS, Active Directory, Microsoft Management Console, Desktop Management, File and Printer Sharing, Windows Networking. Server Manager provides a single interface for installing, configuring, and removing a variety of server roles and features. Summarizes server status and configuration. Includes tools to diagnose problems, manage storage, and perform general configuration tasks, and be used to manage all servers in your network. Dashboard shows a list of tasks, summarizes installed roles, and shows available servers to manage. Server Manager Dashboard View. NTFS, New Technology File System. NTFS, introduced in Windows NT in early 1990s. Important features: capability to set user and group permissions on both folders and files. Administrators can specify which users can access a file and what users can do with a file if granted access. Increases a server environment's security. The security tab showing NTFS permissions. Active Directory provides a single point of administration of network resources, users, groups, shared printers. It provides centralized authentication and acceleration of users to network resources. Along with DNS, provides domain naming services and management for a Windows domain. Enables administrators to assign system policies. Deploy software to client computers and assign permissions and rights to users of network resources. Windows Microsoft Management Console creates a centralized management interface for administrators. Uses snap-ins, which are designed to perform specific administrative tasks such as desk management, disk management. Important features: the capability to connect to servers remotely. Disk management: to manage disk and volumes on a Windows Server 2012 R2 computer. Use the disk management snap-in of the file and storage services role, which is integrated into the server manager. Both tools can be used to monitor disk and volume status, initialize new disk, create and format new disk, create and format new volumes, troubleshoot disk problems, configure redundant disk configuration RAID, print and file and printing sharing. Offers advanced features such as shadow copies, disk photos, distributed file system DFS. Also offers redundancy version control, user storage restrictions. Windows networking concepts. The workgroup model. A small section of computers that share common roles such as sharing files or printers, also called a peer-to-peer network. Decentralized load guns, security, and resources sharing. Easy to configure and works well for small groups of users, fewer than 10. A Windows Server 2012 R2 server that reciprocates a workgroup is referred to as a standalone server. Windows networking concepts. The domain model. Preferred for a network that has more than 10 computers or requires centralized security and resource management. Requires at least one computer to be a domain controller. A domain controller is a Windows server that has Active Directory installed and is responsible for allowing client computers access to domain resources. A member server is a Windows server that's in the management scope of a domain but doesn't have Active Directory installed. Windows network components. Network connection. A collection of networking components working together. Network interface. Composed of two parts, the network interface card, NIC, and the device driver software. Network protocol specifies the rules and format of communication between network devices. Windows network components. Network client and server software. A network client is the part of the OS that sends requests to a server to access network resources. Network server software receives the request for shared network resources and makes those resources available to a network client. In Windows, this server software is file and printer sharing for Microsoft networks. Windows Server 2012 R2 roles. A server role is a major function or service that a server performs. A role services add function to the main role. Server features provide functions that enhance or support an installed role or add a standalone function. A server can be configured for a single role or several roles. Active Directory certificate services. A digital certificate is an electronic document containing information about the certificate holder and the entity that issued the certificate. The Active Directory certificate services AD space CS provides services for creating and issuing and managing digital certificates. When ADCS is installed, a number of services can be deployed that have functions for managing certificates. Active Directory Domain Services. Active Directory Domain Services installs Active Directory and turns a Windows Server 2012 R2 server into a domain controller. The main purpose of ADDS is to handle authentication and authorization for users and computers in a Windows domain. Other Active Directory related roles. Active Directory Federation Services, ADFS. Active Directory Lightweight Directory Services, ADLTS. Active Directory Rights Management Services, ADRMS. DHCP Server, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, DHCP. Server role provides automatic IP address assignment and configuration for client computers. Can provide default gateway address, DNS server address, WINS server address, and other options. DNS server. DNS server resolves the names of Internet computers and computers that are members of a Windows domain to their assigned IP addresses. When installing Active Directory, you can specify an existing DNS server or install DNS on the same server as Active Directory. File and storage services enables administrators to ensure high availability, reliable shared storage to Windows and other client operating systems. Storage spaces later in this chapter describe some new capabilities of this role. Hyper-V provides services to create and manage virtual machines on a Windows server on 12RT computer. A virtual machine is a software environment that simulates the pure hardware and operating system required for installation. Installing and operating system on a virtual machine is done using the same methods used on a physical machine. Network policy and access services enables administrators to create and enforce network access policies that apply to client verification and authorization and client health. Role services that can be installed. Network policy servers, NPS. Health Registration Authority, HRA. Host Credential Authorization Protocol, HCAP. Print and document services enables administrators to centralize and manage access to network printers. Installs printer server by default when you install the print and document services role. Internet printing service enables web-based management of network printers and the capability to print to network printers by using HTTP. Line printer domain LDP load service provides print capabilities with Unix clients. Remote access allows configuring a server as a virtual private network VPN server and a router, as well as a direct access server. Direct access enables users to connect to their work security through an internet connection, more user-friendly than a typical VPN connection. Windows deployment services simplifies the installation of a Windows over a network. can install and remotely configure Windows 8.1 and Server 2012 systems. WDS provides all tools needed to deploy Windows and an enterprise network on a large scale. New and enhanced features in Windows Server 2012 are two. Server 4, Minimum Server Interface, Hyper-V 3.0, PowerShell, Storage Spaces, Resilient File Systems, IP Address Management, Dynamic Access Control. Server Core provides a minimum user interface environment, must be managed from a command line or remotely by using server management and NMC PowerShell, a Windows remote shell. Microsoft has made Server Core the recommended installation option. Uses a little more than 5 gigabytes of disk space. A major enhancement in Windows Server 2012 R2. Server Core is the ability to switch between Server Core mode and GUI mode. Minimum Server Interface allows performing most local measurement tasks with a GUI tool without some aspect of the full user interface. It includes Server Manager, Sound Control Panel, Eclipse, and the NMC. It does not include the taskbar, the desktop, Internet Explorer, File Explorer, or the Start screen. The command prompt in PowerShell are available. Hyper-V 3.0. New features in Hyper-V 3.0. Multiple concurrent live migrations. Hyper-V replica. Support for 32 virtual processors. Virtual machine was up to 512 gigabytes of RAM. Cluster was up to 63 nodes. Enhanced virtual networking. Virtual disk up to 16 terabytes. PowerShell, a command line interactive scripting environment that provides commands for almost any measurement task. PowerShell uses the term CMD lits to describe commands and scripts. Hundreds of CMD lits are available in PowerShell, ranging from performing simple tasks to managing aspects of Active Directory. Windows Server 2012 R2 and Windows 8.1 are equipped with PowerShell 4.0. PowerShell. Some of the enhancements to PowerShell include more than 50 new CMD lits, job scheduling CMD lits, language enhancements, remote module imports, module auto loading, enhanced command auto completion, simplified command discovery, improved performance. Storage spaces. A new tool that uses virtual drives to give you a platform for creating volumes of storage pools that can be dramatically expanded in fault tolerant. Volumes can be created from multiple drive types. Drives can be internal or external. Permits then versioning means the physical disk space isn't located for a volume until it's actually needed. Resilient file systems. Resilient file systems. A new file system intended for large data storage application requiring a high degree of reliability, largely backward capable with NTFS, but doesn't support some features. The boot volume cannot be in REFS formatted fine. Advantages over NTFS: automatic on-the-fly file system repair, support for huge volume sizes, IP address management. IP address management. IPAM has tools to monitor and manage servers running DHCP and DNS, including automatic discovery of domain controllers and DHCP and DNS servers. IPAM can be used to audit IP address use and track changes made to the IP address space. Dynamic access control. Dynamic access control (DAC) allows for the fine-tuned flow over shared resources without some of the limitations of traditional file permissions. DAC allows classifying data and assigning permissions by user attributes rather than group memberships. Works alongside traditional sharing and NTFS permissions. Gives administrators more flexibility in assigning access to resources. Summary. A server is largely defined by the software running on the computer hardware. Windows Server 2012 R2 is available in four main editions: Data Center, Standard, Essentials, and Foundation. Windows Server 2012 R2 has several features for picking and supporting private cloud environments. The technologies that make up the core functions of Windows Server 2012 R2 include Server Manager, NTFS, Active Directory, MMC, disk management, file and printer sharing, and Windows networking. Windows Server 2012 R2 includes more than a dozen primary server roles and many supporting role services and features. Windows Server 2012 R2 built on the success of Windows Server 2008 by adding a host of new services, including minimum server interface, storage space, resistant file system, IP address management, and dynamic access control. That is the end of Chapter 1 presentation.